All right, I'll start things off with my BP10 results. My first talent at the top of the list was knowledge. And so a word that resonated most with me from that was the word input. I'm a dependent decision maker, and so I like to take in other people's thoughts and opinions when making decisions, not only for myself, but also when in groups, because I think everyone's opinion can be valuable and everyone should be heard when it comes to making decisions in groups. The next talent that I had was determination. One of the phrases that resonated with me for that was tremendous work ethic. I think that I'm a really hard worker, and when I get my mind on something, I don't stop until it's done, which can be a blessing and a curse in some situations, but I think that definitely is something that rings true for me. My third thing was disruptor. And something that resonated with me from that was brimming with new ideas. I think I'm always coming up with new ways to do things. I like coming up with, new ideas, brainstorming. It's always fun for me. And I like, if I can come up with a new way to do something that's been done a certain way for a long time, I think that's exciting and fun. And that's something that I find true within myself. And then the fourth thing is relationship. And I think that building relationships and keeping relationships are very important. I really don't like burning bridges, and I don't like when someone has, some sort of issue with me or something that I've done, and I do my best, confront the issue and, say what's going on? How can we fix this? Because I like having strong relationships with everybody, and it really bothers me when I don't have a strong relationship with someone for some reason. So I like resolving conflict and keeping relationships strong. So that's for the first section. Then for what can I do? I think my strongest out of the 5 different approaches or principles would probably be the bird in hand approach, because I do tend to try to work with what I have first before reaching out and going beyond my means. I think it's important to work within your means, but also I didn't give myself 100 because I think that I sometimes can be ambitious, and I think that's a good thing. And so that was that. The next highest thing is probably the lemonade principle. I do try to make the best out of every situation, but even with that, I do sometimes let things kind of ruin my day. But usually after some reflection and some time to think about it, I am able to kind of use that, whatever negative thing happened, and use it for a positive or a learning experience. And sometimes it just takes some time. So that's why I gave myself a 70 for that. I also gave myself a 70 for pilot in the plane, because while I do like focusing on things I can control, I also do sometimes worry too much about the what ifs of things. So even though I can focus on the controllable things, I do tend to wander off and think about things that aren't controllable as well. So I also give myself a 70 for that. I'm not quite there yet. The next lowest thing would be the affordable loss. I'm kind of a risk taker, and so that's why I didn't give myself 100% there. I gave a 60 because I like taking risks. I like gambling a little bit. It's kind of fun because high risk, high reward. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I guess it really depends on the situation, and sometimes it's worked in my favor, and other times, it's kind of bit me in the butt a little bit. So for that one, I'm kind of just above 50% with a 60. And then the lowest one for me was the patchwork quilt principle, because I sometimes struggle with reaching out or trying to, work with other people, expand the network, that kind of thing, or see what competitors are doing, that kind of thing. It's not my strongest thing. And even though I haven't done it necessarily in an entrepreneurial side, even just in work in general, I just like to do things on my own, rather than reaching out for help, because even though I like taking risks, I don't like risking, getting things done well, I guess, if that makes any sense. And so I tend to try to do things on my own and not reach out to other people, because I kind of like things done my way sometimes. I guess it depends on the situation, but that was probably my lowest out of those. Then for the next section, what am I meant to do? At the very top, I put family enterprise, because obviously my family like I mentioned, has a business already, so that would obviously be at the top of the list because it would be so easy to enter into that. Social entrepreneurship, because I really enjoy social issues. I think it'd be really cool to do something with solving a social issue when it comes to entrepreneurship. And then my third one, Entrepreneurs Inside, I think it's cool to come up with new things and have them implemented in something bigger than you. So those were my top three because those were all like very high up on the list. They were very close. And then for the next two, serial entrepreneurship and franchise, I changed my mind a lot, so I could see myself being a serial entrepreneur, but not super interested in it. And then for a franchise, I have always like thought like, oh, I would love to have this franchise here, but we don't have one. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, and I would want to break those rules, and so it would make more sense to have my own business instead. And then for the last two, buying a small business and corporate entrepreneurship, I don't really see myself buying a small business, but I put that above corporate entrepreneurship because I really don't like corporations very much. I prefer small businesses, so that was kind of how my order was affected with those things. And then for the very end, personalized plan of action. So I'm not like super interested in anything entrepreneurial at the moment. However, I do think that my end goal of making a film is pretty entrepreneurial because there's a lot of like, you need funding, you need money, obviously. So it's similar to a business, except it's a movie. And so I was able to apply kind of my plan to that. So for my means at hand, I have a lot of resources. I have my professors, I have my other classmates, I have my friends that I know in the industry, I have family in the industry. So all of those are resources that I have, and my knowledge that I've gained through school is something that I have as well. And then the idea today is pretty vague. I would either want to make my own film or be part of a film, one of the two. Honestly, I don't care what it is, just anything being involved in a film, whether it's my own or not. The goal is to be part of a film, not being necessarily like an actor or anything, but like creating a film would be, the main goal. I think that the next thing is how to take a small action, and that would be to start researching all the steps. I've kind of done this a little bit just to like see like how to get into the industry or how do I make my own film or whatever, because there's obviously a lot of barriers. It's not that easy to just make a movie or to get into the industry. So I have looked into that a little bit, but researching that more would be a way to take a small step, I guess. And then to network and enroll others in my journey, I would just probably start with my film professor or my best friend because she's a film major from a different school, and kind of go from there. Because I do have a lot of people in my network already that I could use. And then for the next part, to build on what I learned, I think it'd be important to journal and like keep track of what works, because if I were to make a movie and I would want to do it again, obviously there'd be a lot of time in between those two, and I think it'd be important to remember the things that went well or the things that didn't, so that I could use them in the future just in case I were to forget. It'd be good to journal because I forget things really quickly, and I think keeping strong relationships and connections would only be beneficial to that process, and not being afraid to fail. And then I think that for the last point, for reflecting, be honest with myself, I think it's important to remember that like failure is definitely going to happen, and it's not that easy to just get into the industry that I'm interested in. And so reminding myself that, it's going to be difficult, and coming to terms with that is something that's very important, so that I don't just give up. And overall, with this course, I think that the importance of failure and the importance of networking are two things that I'll definitely take with me that I can put into my future goals. So.